The donations for December total $59. Is there a motion to accept the donations in the amount of $59 for December?
I'll make the motion to accept the donations. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Susan. Okay. Yeah, tell you what, I'm very right on.
Lots of reports. If you recall, in the January meeting, provide the December report, but we show the whole year. So you have the reports that show January through December of all of our accounts. Let's start with the director's account. For December, visa expense was $159.58. Not bad. And then the for instant donations, we just approved $59.26.50 spent. And the fine from the fines and miscellaneous account deposits over $700 and debits $320.79. On the trustee account, we made $2.41 across the interest-bearing accounts. So those are the two, the TD Bank and the First Seacoast Bank for the month of December. And then the CDs, if you'll notice on the at the bottom, it includes the First Seacoast Bank 9-month CD we took out. So across those three CDs, we brought in $247.31 in interest. And the First Seacoast Bank CD statement comes out quarterly. So last month we didn't have a statement, but for November, when we got the CD combined with December, we have $53.96 interest. So right now that's working out okay. The other reports that are included with all the reports you got is typically at the end of the quarter, submit a summary of expenses and revenue to date. So this report shows across the whole year what our expenses were, which was about $690. Our interest that we brought in, the bank interest, was $29.72. And then we added a column to note that $10,000 was taken from First Seacoast Bank and put into a CD. So what remains is our balance that we have immediate access to is a little over $5,000. The other report includes what was submitted to the town report. You know, the annual town report. The library puts in a report as well as the financials and as well as library trustee financial report. So this report shows, and it's reported, it's all the same information that you know about and see every month. It says what our beginning balance, it indicates what our beginning balance is, interest, deposits, and debits throughout the year and what we ended with. And it's organized by bank. So it's the same information tweaked a little differently. So this report, that is the one that will go into the town report to show what our beginning balance was, what our end balance is, and then it includes a certificate, the CD that are there that will go in. And then when we do the audit report, that it's the same information in another format. But that's in the,
When does the audit get done?
it will get done March or April. March. So Melanie and I have been working together, and so we'll start working on the audit report. Any questions from any of the financial? Okay. The other piece under Treasurer's report is our CD. One of the CDs that we took out is due January 25th. And currently that CD That was a 4-month CD. Currently, it's getting 4.32%. Melanie and I talked with Keith at TD Bank. We have the more current rates, and it's a picture of 1 month is our best rate, and then after that it
They go down.
declines. And a 12-month CD is at this point 3.5%. A lot of it is the unknownness in what the Fed Reserve is going to do, anticipating rate cuts, and so they kind of start to build that in with the rates. The 1 month CD interest rate is 4.30%. 2 month is 4.25%, and there it goes, month by month. In talking with Keith, it seemed we don't have a need for the money right now, and that maybe until this year gets a little bit more established as far as what's going to happen with the Fed, are they really going to cut rates, when and how that's going to play out. We just do keep taking out the highest, which is 1 month, and just renew it every month. I mean, between 4.30 and 4.25.
But that would make much of a difference.
Much difference, and that's 1 month versus 2 months. So if you're going to be renewing it every 2 months, might as well renew it every 1 month.
Mhm.
Is one way. If you do 6 months, it's 4.0%. You just don't know what the rates are going to do. Even he gave us rates. I think I asked him at the beginning of January, and even between January and now, they've gone down. Not much, but.
I guess my question is it easier to do a 2-month one and then not have to do every month for the minor difference? Or can we authorize the treasurer and our hopefully treasurer-to-be to make a decision unless there's a change that's, unless you want to bring it. I don't know. It just feels like, not that we don't meet every month and we can't put it on the agenda every month, but
We're going to be off beat.
What's the 3-month one?
3 month is 4.20.
I guess I recommend 3 months because if we do month to month, they could keep going down. It might get below 4, so 4 is not bad for 3 months.
do you have a comment?
Just next month, probably the 1 month will not be 2.3. Probably go down every time you do it
Yeah.
at 4.3.
Yeah.
Yes, 4.3 now. Yeah, it probably will go down. And the sooner that, people feel more secure that the Fed is going to make a rate cut or interest rate cut in March, then probably,
Yeah.
So then based on that, what are you saying?
No, I just a point. I think
Lock in a higher rate for a month.
Not gonna hire.
it might be.
I think 3 months is good.
Yeah, I will tell you, my investment strategy is buy and sell low, so don't pay any attention to me.
Yeah.
4.20.
I mean, I guess the question is that the 0.1%, if we actually multiplied that by the amount and then divided it by the monthly amount, how much are we forfeiting? If it's, insignificant, it might be wise to lock it up for 3 months like Robert suggested.
Yeah.
That would get us past the election.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ever better sense of what's happening.
Right.
That's fine. That's a good idea.
Was there, you want to make Robert, you want to make,
Make a motion that we,
I agree. I think that 3 months is a good.
we do the 3 month?
I'll make a motion we invest it for 3 months.
Okay.
I'll second that.
There was- Huh?
I can second, thank you.
No, today we have a full board, so you're an alternate.
All right.
You're not voting. You can speak, but you're not.
But
You're
there-
I'll second.
Lydia seconded. You got that? Did you have this?
Which one? Which bank is this?
It's in for a TD Bank, and Robert made the motion to renew it for 3 months.
The one that was due in January
Yes.
25th.
Right.
Okay.
this week. So it's been moved and seconded by Lydia. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next.
Next, so the backup for treasury report. So Melanie pointed out, we don't really have a backup system for the reports, the financial reports. And it's all on my computer and every once in a while I send it to this or backed up here. But she suggested we have an ongoing backup system, like an external hard drive and a thumb drive, and send it on a monthly basis. So based on that, I am requesting that the board allows Melanie and I to spend up to $125 to buy an external TV as well as an external drive, external drive and a thumb drive.
A thumb drive and what?
An external drive,
External.
computer drive.
We have the thumb drive then, and you send it to Liz and she has it on her computer. We have the thumb drive and why do we need the external drive and spend money for external drive?
Because
Well, just thinking about like what happens if, let's say that Susan's computer like went down or eventually my computer went down. There's no harm in having at least a couple of backups.
Right, but if you send everything to Liz and it's on her computer and you put it on a thumb drive and it's on that, that's 2 backups already. For relatively inexpensive amount of money.
There's a lot of data that Susan has on her computer going back years and years and years. I think it would be valuable to make sure that we have access to it if we need to. And that external hard drive would stay here. That's what we were kind of discussing, that would stay here and get backed up monthly. So
Thumb drives can get lost.
thumb drives
If they
can
do
get
it.
lost or they can malfunction.
it's another external item that could,
No, I think that's a great idea, because for the minimal cost, to just make sure that everything is saved elsewhere.
What about the
I know
cloud?
we use one for our data external.
Isn't the cloud free? Is it?
I don't know that I would trust it.
I know, I was thinking, I don't trust the
I
cloud.
wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust that it.
Our backup system here and I understand we need a backup, but it just seems like that's the 4th backup and it just seems kind of expensive, redundant for me, but.
Any more discussion? So I would ask that one of you people make a motion because you know exactly what you want. And then we can have a second and then we can, if there's any more editing.
I would make a motion that allocate up to $125 to spend on an external hard drive and a thumb drive.
Got that, Carolina?
I
She made the motion.
No, I didn't hear a second.
I'll second.
Oh, she was just making, I thought you, I'm sorry.
I will second.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you had the motion.
Yeah, no, I have everything else. I
Oh.
just didn't have the second.
Any more discussion? We don't have to have unanimous votes every time.
Right.
People don't feel like you've got to be railroaded into everybody on the same page. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We're up to select board liaison, Dan and Landry.
There we are. Not a big surprise. Actually, the select board voted on what to approve and what not to approve, and it was 5-0 in favor of the warrant for the library. ABC actually voted 4-1 to approve for.
That's better than I thought.
Yeah, we have a good day.
Wow.
There will, if you look at all the warrants, the select board's in favor of all the warrants except the last one on the TIF district. Excuse me, and the ABC is 3-2 on the TIF district in favor of the TIF district, which is
Oh, no, which one?
The TIF district. Tax
Oh, right.
increment. I don't-
tax incremental finance. Other than that, I think there were people who also spoke privately in favor of the library, but that's for other things discussed, obviously, but that's the library equipment.
And you have a meeting tonight,
And
right?
we have another, I haven't.
And as far as I know, because the planning board was still working on, if we don't have a number for our warrant article yet.
No, there'll be a change in there. There will be some changes there. I would remind everyone that the deliberative session is the third
Yes.
of February. Please attend. That will be at middle school, starting at 9.
And I have come up with drafted a PowerPoint, a brief PowerPoint presentation on the library. So, and I'm gonna show that to
Oh,
you
great.
tonight. We'll get feedback. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then finally, just FYI, the school district's deliberative session is the 10th of February, be the next week. Somewhat related to what we do.
Certainly related to the total tax impact.
It does, 70% of it.
Yeah. I'm curious, Dan, and you
Yeah.
can say, I'm not ready to say, are you gonna file for the election?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah, I think I'll be back.
Good.
Thank you.
And we'll talk a little bit about that as well later. Anything else to share?
I think that we want to cover the things that I'm happy to share all sorts of things we talked about, but I don't think there's enough to do here
Yeah,
outside of the library. That's those things I think are pertinent to the library.
thank you.
Should
So
we
Liz.
leave the door shut? I don't know.
Oh, I can jump
No,
in
no,
and
you-
do that.
Yeah.
I always do that at school.
Make sure. So director's report, Liz. Everybody got Liz's report? I hope that if you have to take a look at it. You're on, Liz.
Okay.
Yes, my wife.
I think we're doing well. Hoopla has been more of an issue. It was mentioned on Barrington Connection. Yes, it was.
Made the headlines.
Yeah, it did make the headlines because we were previously giving patrons 3 checkouts a month with $700 worth of budget, and now we are giving them 2 checkouts a month with $450. I've got it up to $500 for January and February to sort of ease us into the transitional, and because people have noticed, people are now talking about going to other libraries and buying non-resident library cards, but all libraries have been told by the state actually that they shouldn't be selling electronic access to non-residents. So yes.
Oh, really?
It's being recommended that, seeing as just about every library has access to this, people shouldn't be buying other cards to get them on someplace else faster, because it's not like they have a different wait list or anything of that nature. And it adds the burden to if you can really make the case that putting these extra people on and they're paying enough, like Dover charges $200 a year for a non-resident library card. That's a lot of money. Most people don't want to swallow it, but right now Rochester, I think, is only 60. As a Rochester resident, I wish they'd raise it up, because I don't want everybody buying we get 5 hooplas a month. That's a lot, but that'll be cut. I'm fairly certain if people start library hopping. So the state library is really coming out on this. You need to make sure, if you really want to do this,
There's a problem with the state, as you say, the state library, which you have to wait in line. It doesn't really help you. But with Hoopla, it's instant access.
Hoopla, it's instant access, and that's why everybody's jumping over to it but it is becoming.
But they don't realize that it's not an annual fee that we pay. It is.
No, and for the next library newsletter, I was going to write something regarding Hoopla,
How it works.
And we might want to write something about Libby and how it works, because I think that it's just, I spoke to somebody on Saturday when I was working, they were signing up for Hoopla. I was saying, okay, yeah, here's the thing. If you get this message, it means that we are out of budget for today. It's not you, it's us. And I said, it goes by, everybody gets 2 checkouts a month. We have a certain limited amount to spend. the publishers are laughing all the way to the bank. This is a publisher issue. It's not like the regular library where we buy a copy of the book and we can circulate it until it's tattered. We only get a certain, he was perfectly fine with that. I think he wanted the instant access, but he didn't call back to say that he'd gotten kicked out. So upping it a little bit and putting it down to 2 has made it so that we aren't having as many people get bumped off to the next day for right now.
I have to admit, I don't know, a week or so ago, I felt guilty. I was still awake at like 12:30 and I thought, at midnight, and I thought, clock ticks. And that's what I know people are doing, because the clock starts, but there's only $15 a day that's allocated.
Yes.
Get in early.
Yeah. Get it in.
But that's gonna make people, borrowers unhappy, but.
Yeah, I don't like to annoy people in election year, but if the budget is on the table, that's part of the budget. Just, so I think it would be helpful for me to at least put that out there, that it does cost us a lot more. The other issue, Jesse noticed it, we do have a roof leak over the stacks with all these horrendous torrential rain events with wind and rains. One day it was leaking seriously and Jim came and put a tarp over it, and was it the weekend before last when I came in, it was damp. It wasn't leaking yet, but it was damp. I spoke with Jim. I said, Jim, I'm just going to be putting a trash bag up on top of those stacks when I think it's going to rain, just because.
Do they have a plan to repair it?
I
don't know.
Well, they are probably going to have to come up with one, because Rec was having water actively leaking down onto the gym floor and they were having to wipe it up.
That's
Yes, somebody falls down because they slipped in the water. That's an immediate, yeah, and their floor.
Plus they can live mid-floor, so.
Yeah. So I think they're going to have to come up with, if it's like ours, it's leaking in one place, it's coming in one place and then drifting down the light thing and then dripping down someplace else. So I don't know where their leak is. So yeah, he's aware of that and has been doing spot checks. Everybody saw, we did come in at like 89% of our budget for 2023. This is 24, right?
Yeah.
Which means we used pretty much our whole operating budget. We didn't really have to get into any extras anywhere else. Really, I think we've been doing well in the program in the community drum circle, which was a freebie with the, oh my goodness. There were what, 21 people?
Yeah, it was totally packed and it was great fun.
Yeah, the Rose Lady, I didn't think the Rose Lady would bring in, she brought in 21
I
people.
think it was even more than 21.
It might have been, we
more people come after.
Yeah.
It was great.
So many people suggested that we do a community drum circle to welcome the new library. So, and Cornerstone VNA.
Cornerstone VNA got a
Got a
grant.
grant for that.
Got a grant.
So then they reached out to the communities. I can't remember the theme. Obviously, it had to do health. They did one in Stratford for caregivers. They have a caregiver support group there, which I think if we got a new building would be a great thing to add.
Fine.
Yeah.
We do have enough bakers for just desserts. I'm happy to say I've got 10. I had 12 people offer. Only 10 people have emailed me back with desserts, so I'm happy. And for some reason, starting on Friday, I had 4 applicants for morning desk clerk job.
Wonderful.
I had 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, and 1 came in this morning. So we and people have library experience and customer service. So we're excited.
I'm just curious, are any Barrington or really local?
Someone from Lee,
Okay.
someone from my neighborhood.
Well, it's not a big drive. Nobody's gonna drive.
Nobody's supposed to know who I am. I like to remain anonymous in my neighborhood. Do we have anybody from Barrington? Rochester, Lee, and there was somebody from, they're working at Farmington right now, but they want to move down to the Dover Portsmouth area, so they figured this would be a good spot.
Well,
I'm just happy that we have a variety.
Yeah.
And that's about all I've got.
Oh, and then we have the children's
Oh,
librarian
yes.
job description.
Yeah, Wendy and I went over that the previous Saturday.
We talked about this a while, I think, about clarifying the assistant director duties for the children's librarian. And so Liz has worked that up and I think reviewed it with Wendy. And what are the major changes?
The major changes are she or the assistant director / children's YA librarian would be responsible for most of the training and onboarding of new staff coming in, meaning our morning desk clerk or evening desk clerk or anyone who needs to know how to use Atrium, as well as interviewing potential applicants with me. And there was one other thing I thought. I added that one. That's really, I took off a lot. Well, a lot of them were, in my mind, it's assumed serves as the senior staff member on duty when the director is not available. Well, that's still in there, but it's like perform some or all the director's duties in case of vacation. It also had, I took out, may do deposits and stuff like that, because in my mind, that's sort of encompassed by doing the director's duties.
Yeah.
If they're the senior. So it was sort of tightening it up. And yeah, it's really just really taking liaise with other town departments and entities to collaborate on children's and youth programming. I think I added that. There were like 3 different ones that were like programming with different entities. And
Just tightening it up as well.
Yeah.
Did anybody have any, as we read that, I think we just sent it out with the report. Any comments or questions? Because we approved these job descriptions, so that's why it's on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the revised job description for the children's librarian / assistant director?
I'll make the motion.
Is that you?
That was me.
Oh, would people speak up?
I'll make
They
the
have a
motion.
sinus thing, so it is a little harder to hear, but soft voices are
Okay.
a problem. Thank you.
I'll second it.
I heard that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The other things, Liz and Susan and I met and we were reviewing goals that we had discussed with Liz in the fall. This was as much as we could get done for today. We also wanted to take a look at the sort of strategic plan document that we had last summer as a board of trustees come up with, and then looking for more action plans. So that will be in the next month or two. Liz will bring us more on that. So that's the director's report. Okay, library building, what you've all been excited to wait for. There, we received an invoice for the construction management services that are not included in the architect contract. These, and Liz has it there, I don't have it in front of me. The total amount is what, Liz?
$3,520.
So it's not a big fee. But the fellow that, his name is Jesse Fand, who is our lead person at this point at Bowen Construction. And so he's the fellow who organized all the review of the building, the contractors to come in, basically put together the whole cost estimate for the building project. And so this really relates to those services, and the bill is detailed as to how many hours and what days, as I recall looking at it. So we are not the agents to expend. The selectmen or select board is the agent to expend from the library capital reserve. So we need to have a motion to approve this invoice from the trustees. And when we have that with a copy of the minutes, Liz will send that over. I was hoping, Dan, that we could just, we were gonna have enough time to do it if we had met last week.
Exactly.
But couldn't get it into your agenda. So as soon as we do that tonight and get Carolina's minutes, and these will be short minutes this time.
Yeah.
We'll get that over to Connor to get to the select board, and then it will go to finance and they'll pay it. So is there a motion to approve the invoice from Bowen Corporation for construction management service?
For $3,520.
Correct.
I make a motion that we approve $3,529
20.
20, oh, excuse me.
Like she said.
Inflating it, sorry.
The tip.
Yeah.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I have to admit, I do not know at this point what is left in that account. We obviously spent whatever, 36,000, something like that for, it had gotten up to, I think, 70,000. And we spent about half of it, I think, on architect fees and that sort of stuff. And then the various inspections that the town organized, and I don't know if there were any legal expenses that they would have billed to the account legitimately as well. So there's enough money to cover this, though. I know that. I just don't know what's left beyond that. Thank you. Public hearing, as you know, we presented at the public hearing before the select board and ABC, and it's delightful to hear the good news. I did not stay to the very end of the meeting, so I heard about the select board support at the later after the fact, and I was assuming the ABC. It sounded like they were standing pat, but I'm glad that somebody changed their mind.
Happened.
It happened. So I think that's the best we could expect. The public education on warrant article, I just wanted to bring this up, what is the trustee role in this? And I think our role with this is similar to the select board role in promoting and their recommendations for things like the budget, the TIF district, the road, all that stuff. And I know that you folks have had more discussion, you folks being the select board, about what you can say, what you can't say.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone, well, it's still a draft. We have a voter guide that will come out a little bit later today. Basically, we can present all the facts, and we will do that and explain what these are. We can't advocate for, now you need to go out and vote for our library. But we can tell them what's cost and what we've gone through. And then as far as the ABC and the select board, basically, where there's a difference, in this case, the select board is 5-0, and everyone agrees with this. Connor's put together the reasons the 4 people on the ABC thought it was a good idea, and then the reason that the one person thought it was not a good idea.
That's a minority.
So it's about a sentence.
Yeah.
2 sentences.
So you get to hear not just a number, you get to hear.
Right, or an explanation. And again, I've read the draft. It's pretty fair representation that people deserve that.
Yeah.
They need to know why one member of the ABC doesn't think it's a good idea. Which is a legitimate thing. I happen to know, I've been on the ABC for a long time. These are people that have best interest of the town in mind. They're not, some don't read very much, so they don't know whether the library is a good idea or not. But again, I think we can object to their position, but we shouldn't object to the person. They're not bad people that do this.
But I think when you say we can't electioneer, and that's what, we can't say vote for this, but clearly we're recommending it. And I think it's fine both to be educational and to explain why we recommend it. Why we think this is the best thing. I think that's what's fair.
Yeah.
I think by saying that the trustees all unanimously recommend a new library, that's
Pretty
telling
clear.
people that we believe in it, we're voting for it, you should too, I would
Yeah.
think.
I think what you can say is this is a good idea. Well, I mean, you can't say
Well,
it's a good
it's
idea.
a good idea. Why would you recommend it?
No, I understand that, but you can't say, if we don't have this, town goes to hell in a handbasket sort of thing. Although that may be obvious, but
Yeah.
but you can't say that.
I think
It'll go through. Connor's very good.
Yeah.
He'll be a fair broker in this, and then it will go by the attorney. So.
Well, I know we have really relied on the foundation to do most of that work, but it's really, we're making the final decisions. It's important that trustees be visible as well. And, so obviously we're gonna be there tomorrow. Gonna move right into the foundation update as well. The presence at primary and the polls, which I have no idea what we're gonna see for turnout. I was just reading some articles today that say, very strong turnout expected because of, now we're down to Haley and Trump on the Republican side, and I guess Democrats, if they're motivated, want to write in Biden. So the Secretary of State recommended a bumper turnout. We'll see. But it's a great opportunity for us because we cannot have that kind of a table on March 12th because we're on the ballot. So this is our opportunity to be there. Roger has been setting that up, and as you know, I've asked all of you. So we do have the table covered, and I think I shared with you all what that agenda looks like. Lydia, I'm going to say Robert said he's probably going to be here the last segment. So when Robert comes, because Karen's going to be there, if you want to switch over to your other job.
No, I already told them I wasn't gonna be there.
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
planning on being there from 4 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I already said that.
Okay, well, I just know you were trying to fulfill multiple commitments,
So I'll be there 4 to 6.
and I'm planning to be there from 10 to 2. So,
I'll be there.
and Ezra's gonna be there on the early team. You guys are,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Roger did some, I haven't read it yet. He sent out some sort of talking points kind of stuff, and you're all familiar with the information.
Mhm.
We'll have the budget there and stuff like that. I don't know if this will be there tomorrow, and I'm just gonna hand this out. We just got these from Jason. These are pictures of, or a picture. Let's get it, so everybody can see what, this is sort of a, one of these conceptual, what might the inside of the building look like? And that, I think, is the
Cafe.
circulation desk, and I haven't really looked at it yet, so we just got it.
You don't have to stand on a stool. We'll
Pardon?
The
still have to
cafe.
crawl.
Cafe.
Have to crawl to see bottom.
Oh, the cafe?
Yeah.
The cafe, if somebody says, are you having a cafe, take the word out.
Yeah.
I have to call it out and say, take the word cafe,
Take that out.
or else I'd say cafe means Keurig.
Sure.
That's the word.
Take the word off.
Take the word out. Thank you. I didn't.
Yeah, no, it makes it.
It would be awfully cool, yes, but
Well, that was criticized last time.
what?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
Portsmouth has a frill.
Um,
Don't ask.
So anyway, that's an interior. The, we've got the exterior stuff that got, I think, poster, interior and stuff. Somebody apparently on Facebook or someplace asked, can you do an overlay on the new building of the old building? A more visual. So I emailed Jason last night, and this morning at 8:15 or something, I had a overlay sort of thing. You'll see it in the little PowerPoint. Because it's a handy way of saying, oh, okay,
This would.
you say 3,700, 8,500, what does that look like? The other thing that the foundation is talking about is, the scheduling dump stumping, being at the dump to hand out the little informational flyer. I think I emailed you all a link from Diane St. Jean to a little half-page flyer. It was gonna say, vote or whatever, article number 21, but of course we don't have an article number, so we couldn't bet on it. Trying to get things simple, memorable and that sort of thing.
Who's paying for that?
Pardon?
Who's paying for the flyers?
The foundation, they actually, like Diane said, I've got 75 pieces of good quality paper and we'll print it at the library and pay the library for the printing, and so that's how that's working out at this point. The library, the foundation is planning to do 2 EDDMs, which is that every door direct mail. You just give a bunch of them to the post office and I say it like that. I don't really know how the system works, but we've been having a lot of that stuff in our mailboxes up the last few weeks, like 6 a day on yes or no on Nikki Haley. So fortunately, that stuff will be gone after tomorrow. But they're talking about doing one in, I think that after the deliberative session, so first part of February, and then probably the week before the vote. As a reminding people to vote. The other thing that we were able to arrange was to have an sort of information session, open house, basically, at the new building on February 17th, the week after desserts, from 10 to 2. And so I'd like you to pencil that in your calendar. We'll be back to you with more information. What I envision is, as we promote that, is that many of us will be there, as well as foundation people. And as people come in, give them a cookie, whatever, and we can take people on a walk through the building. Granted, it's in its old version, but it's a way to answer questions, show people what the building really looks like. Hopefully they'll see the quality of the build as it is. Just trying to be as open and as transparent and as welcoming as we can be on, this is what, yeah.
Can we have little posters, like a, what do they call it, like lay frame posters, says this is children's library, this is craft room, this is gonna be this is gonna be
That's a
that.
good, yeah. We've got a couple of weeks. I'll talk to Jason about that. Certainly, we would have plenty of copies of the floor plan. It's a big, like Liz, I think, may have one of the big
Yeah.
poster size. So,
Can I ask, I noticed one of the comments on Barrington Connection, someone was saying that, well, I was hoping the library would have a bigger selection of books because now we're gonna have a bigger library. And I know the foundation's trying to walk the fence. This isn't,
well, what I've said is we don't envision expanding, having a net expansion of the materials.
right,
You know, there will be some. But it's more about weeding old stuff and, you know, having new stuff. I don't know what they were particularly looking for, but
well, I think, you know, we've always said there isn't enough room for the books we want to have in the library.
it's a combination.
Right.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, when you look out at those stacks, those are unsafe. And of course, we
Right.
know it's not ADA compliant. They're
Yes.
too together, they're too high up, they're too low down.
Right.
So just to take the collection we currently have, I hate to say spread it out, have it more accessible in that way, it's not that big a building. I mean, I'm saying this to you.
Right, right. Yeah, I just wanted to know how to address that because someone said, well, if the selection is gonna expand, they were disappointed, you know, with that comment. And, so, but it's budgetary.
Well, we
Too.
kept that budget the same for
Right.
a while. I remember back
Yeah.
when the book budget was 15,000, but that was 10 years ago.
Right.
And of course, things get more expensive, so there's still gonna be some inflationary increase.
Okay. That's
What's the
fine.
date of that walkthrough?
That the open house
All right.
is the 17th, Saturday, the 17th of February. I have to talk with Roger. Do we need a snow day? In which case, we did it then in part because the following weeks are school vacation weeks. And then you're into March, and that, it felt like we should try to have access earlier. So if we have to have a snow day, it might be the next day, but 1 to 4 or something like that. I don't know.
I think that's a great idea. I feel like people love to go into an open house to, you know, see
Yes.
things. Yeah.
You know, really, and just the ability that people, if they can't even see the inside, they see the outside. It's not trying to look at a picture and trying to visualize it. It looks, because the way the building is designed, it's an attractive building,
Mhm.
way more gables and windows than we would have had in a new shoebox building that would have been looking at. So I will keep you informed, but if we need to ask trustees to help at the dump, handing out stickers or handing out flyers, you'll hear. Well, I think it's really incumbent on us to do as much as we can, as well as the foundation people. The other thing, and I forgot to print this out, I think the number of, at deliberative session, we can increase the amount that the foundation has cash on hand to decrease the bond amount. And I'm showing it now, and you'll see as $350,000. 312 at the time the first draft went in was the number. we asked the select board if they would allow us to, if they would recognize the donations, the pledges from the Friends of the Library and the Barrington Historical Society, both of which have those dollars and CDs that mature in February after the deliberative session. And
Forgot to mention that.
the select board voted 4-1, I think, to do that, because that's pretty much sure money.
Yeah.
The Friends are meeting Wednesday, and we'll vote formally to write that check, knowing that if it fails, they'll get a check right back from the foundation. Is not a big risk, but it allows us to reduce that, so that, and Roger said this morning, I think, including those numbers, I think he said there was like 361,000, and I was on the phone with a building committee member who said, where do I write my check? And he said, giving a donation of $5,000. So, you know, it all helps.
Yeah.
So we will have as much as we can have, and then that will be incorporated. The other good news is that Connor received the information from the New Hampshire Bond Bank about they just did a bond sale earlier in January. And they, what the town does is they use the latest interest rates from a bond sale in calculating the anticipated expense. And the interest rates went down in that bond sale. And so Connor had the bond bank calculate for a $3.3 million bond. What would what do you call it? Tax rate be?
Right,
What would
the tax rate impact.
and it decreased significantly. You know, the old one says something like $81 per $450,000 house. The tax rate has gone from 19 cents per thousand down to 14 cents per thousand. And a cost from $81 to $60 per average household. That's significant. So Liz, at this point, would you bring up the PowerPoint? So I've been working on this little PowerPoint for the presentation for deliberative. And if you want to put it on slideshow, and that means that you have to advance it. So just go ahead and advance. I'm not going to do all the talking, but you'll see, you know, basically this is from an old presentation. This is why we need a new library going forward. This is from the surveys that we did a year ago. And at the presentation, I'm not going to read this stuff. I'm just going to say, you know, books, space for gathering, early childhood education, you know, programs, games, people want to be together, and technology support. Those are the main reasons that people want a library, and we need more space in order to fulfill those. Next slide. So we took a new approach this year. We got more public input, surveys, listening sessions. We have a new building committee, which has a lot of expertise on it. And we were faced with two choices. One is a new build, and we did look at a 10,000 square foot building. Estimated cost, we didn't get too far in that other than preliminary design. But we're told, given square foot cost, we're looking between 5.5 and 6 million for that. And then Frisbee became available. And our cost, you'll see, is about 3.3 million for that. Huge difference. Slide. This is the building. If you haven't seen it already, if you haven't heard about it, this is what it is. The town has negotiated to purchase that. We'd renovate the interior, mostly open space. Systems do need to be updated. It's a 23-year-old building. Some of those things, particularly the HVAC system, and getting to the end of its normal 20-year lifespan, is some parts are beyond that. So we're going to have to invest in that. But we're not planning to increase or make changes in the exterior envelope. We're not adding on another bump out. We're not changing any of the windows. They're all good windows. So we're doing as much as we can as we look at that too. And of course, mature landscaping. Next slide. The interior, when I talk about open space, what you see there, this is a building that has like 25 exam rooms in it. So that's why it has to be basically cleaned out inside. The left-hand side, it becomes a much larger dedicated children's area and story time area. The big purple blob in the back is a larger meeting room than we have now. It's not humongous. It's not going to be subdivided. It's not what we've looked at before, but you know, I can't remember. It's about at least a third larger than
Yeah.
this. And when you take all the other stuff here, that's children's stuff out,
Right, and it's just a
Actually,
meeting
usable
room,
space.
it's big.
on the
Is that
right-hand
gonna be able
side.
to have a separate entrance for after hours?
There is a backdoor entrance to that, if that's your
And
question.
it can be blocked off so that they can't get in the library, so people who can use that.
If we choose to have that available for other people to use when nobody's in the library, we will be able to create that. That's something we're gonna have to talk about, meeting policy and all the logistics about that. The right-hand side, of course, is the adult area and some staff rooms there, workroom and a staff break
Is there
area.
blue areas, jacuzzis?
No jacuzzi. We did have to take out, I know you're all disappointed in this, but the x-ray room, lead-lined x-ray room is going. The yellow in the center is really the central hub. It's where the circulation desk is, new releases, things like that. And you'll see there are pale pink rooms. I guess they're pale pink. Those are meeting rooms, small meeting rooms, study rooms. And down in front, we have something totally new that we've never had, which is a young adult area. That orange section just by the entrance, because the entrance is down in front. To the left of that is a study room, and then the larger of those is the Barrington History Room. It will be able to be used as a small meeting room, but it's also going to be where we house the historical
Book
collection that we have. So that's what the inside looks like. And how does it compare against what we have now? Next slide. This is black and white, and the orange is the existing library.
That's good.
And so basically, you can see what we really get to add to this, besides spreading out and not having books falling off top shelves, is really dedicated children's area, which is, I guess, you have to say, the most heavily used part of the library. The right side has the adult section, and again, the Barrington room, the teen room, those are the big additions on this building. Next slide. So let's talk money. And somehow this didn't, these all line up right on my computer. I don't know why I'll have to think about how to get that to work. Anyway, purchase price $1 million has been negotiated between the town and the seller. The architect and engineering expenses come out to about $130,000. That's based on a percentage of construction, I gather, is what I've seen. And the owner's contingency of $200,000. You always keep an owner's contingency as an example.
That's for
You take
unexpected
that-
expenses, unexpected expenses.
Unexpected expenses. Certainly there is we've done as much as we can, and the construction manager has looked thoroughly at the building, but we haven't taken down walls or taken up floors yet. We're not going to find asbestos in this building because it was only built 23 years ago, so I'm not worried about asbestos, but any number of things that can surface that you didn't anticipate. And then there's a small amount for furniture, equipment, moving, security system. That's what brings the total to $3.3 million. Next slide. The warrant article then of $3.3 million. Then we get to account against that the donations that have come in. That is cash in hand, not pledges that we expect to get next year. Can only be cash in hand. Anything that comes in after March 12th, but before they apply for the bond, can also be used to reduce that bond. That brings the bond amount related to the library to $2.9 million. In addition to that, the select board has asked for $300,000 to be able to do a modest renovation of the current library space so that it's usable for rec. So you add that $300,000 and it comes to $3.2 million for the bond. Next slide. So I thought this would be kind of interesting to take a little look at history. Not everybody in the audience has been here for all these years, but in 2019, what the trustees proposed with basically a 13,000 square foot, cost of $4.4 million. The bond was just under $4 million. Tax impact was 35 cents per thousand. In 20, they brought back essentially the same building. They made some changes to reduce the cost and to basically account for the cost inflation in 1 year. The bond amount was the same. The tax impact was a little bit less. And then since then, the increase in construction costs, the source on this is Associated Builders and Contractors, which I believe is a national organization, 37.7%. What are we bringing you? We're bringing you a proposal for a significantly smaller building, 8,500, a significantly lower cost, 3.3 million, a bond for the library, 2.98. I may have to change that to say the total bond. That's the library portion. I'm fixated on getting the library part under 2 million, but I should go back to the number that is actual bond. But the tax impact on that with the new interest rates that were just released, 14 cents per thousand. I think we've made huge strides.
Just to play the devil's advocate.
Yep.
If we're having a library now that we're happy with at 8,500 square feet, why were we looking at 13,000 feet before? Isn't that excessive?
It's not excessive. It was a different concept. First of all, the American Library Association recommends something like 1.5 square feet per population. That would be a 15,000 square foot library. Consultant told us we ought to have at least that, if not a 20,000 square foot one, or 17,000. That was years ago. So already that had been cut back. That was also when we were building in more of a utilization as a broader community center with a larger general meeting area that could be subdivided, available after hours. You know, that whole section that was developed was related to that. So that has been the biggest cut out of the whole thing.
I think we need a bigger library myself, but I just
Well,
figured that that's a good explanation because I've made that question
doesn't,
come up.
you know,
So
I think I've come around to, yes, I really love the 10,000 square
Yeah.
foot sign, quite honestly, that we looked at earlier. And that was still smaller, but it was really a lovely design, a lovely look. But
because if they keep building the way they've been building Barrington the last
perfect
2
is-
years,
as
we're gonna
they
need a
say,
bigger library in about 5
the
to 10
perfect is
years.
the enemy of the good. So anyway, I'll fix that slide. So next slide, the last slide.
Are you a boat builder?
Pardon?
Are you a boat builder?
A boat builder?
Yeah, that's boat builders thing. Perfect as a.
Oh.
Builder.
So this I wanted to announce as the last slide. You know, look at what's on the library website, not too much related to the foundation is pretty much the communication vehicle on this. But if you want to know more about the library, what goes on at the library, if you think, gee, what goes on? It's just books. You ought to take a look at the library website. It's loaded with all of the other educational, social, community connecting activities that people enjoy about the library and want from a library, and you'll see that on the website. But to get a better feel for the whole project, come on the 17th of February. 10 to 2, there'll be cookies. I think there may be door prizes.
Yeah, door prices.
We'll see.
Take all the library, the giveaway shelf.
Yes, donations. Everybody gets a book. If you come, we'll give you a book. But anyway, so that's it. End of story. What do you think?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, short and to the point.
I decided I'm not going to spend a lot of time on why we need a new library. Because
No.
No, but this slide where you were talking about the bond for the library and then you were saying you should have added the 300,000, maybe still keeping that separate a little bit, like saying then all together total, just so that people see what the library actually is and then it's
Yeah.
really 300,000 to renovate this piece. I don't know. I just think,
I know I don't have, pardon?
I agree to separate it.
Or maybe I do insert another short slide that says, okay, so now we've talked about the
Yeah.
library. Here's what the full warrant article. What do you think?
And I think you want to tell people what they're voting for.
Yeah.
right,
And if it's 3.29 or whatever it is, 3.3, I think you need to tell them that's fair. I think it is important to say that the 300,000 is to make this building usable after we leave.
I think the slide showed that though.
Well, they
There
do.
is one, but I think saying it again isn't gonna hurt.
Right. I mean, the slides there, but just explain it.
no, so I want to come up with the right total, but just kind of separating it out, saying that this is for the building and the renovation, this is for doing this space.
I know at the public hearing, there was a comment. Why do you have that 300,000 in there? Why isn't it a separate article? Just have the library in this article.
Yeah, we discussed that, but it's not. If we have a new library, you have to do something with this space, so
Yeah.
it's not truly a separate issue. There is
So you could have put it
another,
in the next.
there is another warrant article that will be based on a grant to do major renovation
Yeah.
here. That's a separate
So you
deal.
couldn't put the 300, well, but you couldn't have bonded it. It wouldn't have been bonded if you put it in the other article.
All right.
So it's to get it folded into
Yeah.
the bond. It's, I didn't oppose it because I thought it was reasonable.
Mhm.
I'm surprised it never was thought of in the other two proposals. Because if the same would have existed then, none of us, I mean, wasn't our job to think of it.
If we just take all the books out of here and all the people out of here, we have a leaky box.
You take the books that are not.
Yeah, well, we have a leaky box either way,
Yeah.
but we just have a leaky box.
Mhm.
So I think our opinion from the select board was that we need to be open with people, that we aren't just gonna abandon this box, that this was going to be a continued useful piece of property.
And
And it's gonna cost you money to do that.
if people have questions about that, my plan is to say, I'm gonna defer to the town administrator and the select board to answer that question, because they have the details on that.
Right.
We haven't opposed it because it's logical that we want this space to be usable. One of the reasons that we feel comfortable with a smaller building is because this space is gonna be available through the rec for more community meeting space. And we're not, we're not,
That meeting room is in the 13,000 foot building.
is that,
Could be this.
Yeah.
Ideally, if
that's
that
a couple,
other warrant article goes through. It's not a bonded, it's dependent on a grant.
it's a refundable loan,
Right.
but it works like a grant because you don't have to pay it back.
Yeah.
Can I get one of those?
So anyway, that's that.
Mhm.
Put it done, maybe.
Any, so I'm not sure exactly the number right now. I have put on the budget of 350, it may be 360. But I know the foundation has to save a few bucks so that they can cover the expenses of printing flyers or doing a mailing or things like that. But, so right now that's moving. We'll see how it is by next week. Let's see. So that's it on the foundation and the library stuff. Any questions or comments? Yes, Robert.
Back in the voting, also in the deliberative session, is the Friends gonna be selling the books?
At the, let me think.
They usually do.
We're selling books, no, we're selling books at the primary.
Yeah.
We don't generally sell books at deliberative, so there's not a big enough turnout to make it worthwhile. So under old business, elections, I just wanted to remind you all who are up for election, the filing period is January 24th, which is Wednesday, through February 2nd. It's at the town clerk's office, so whenever their hours are at the town clerk's office, which you can find online. The town clerk, I think by state law, has to be open through the Friday, which is the
She
second.
will be open Friday afternoons, just for filing.
Is it 3 to 5? Something like that.
Number.
It's on the website, but hopefully you won't forget and you'll.
January, what is it?
January
From
24th.
Wednesday, this Wednesday then.
Okay.
And the people, as I understand it, Lydia is up for reelection. She's going to file to run. Karen is going to step down and assume a position as an alternate come March. Melanie is going to run for a seat, and Ezra is going to run. And then there are 3 slots for 3 years. And I recommend personally that you 3 sign up for 3-year terms. Susan has agreed that, and I think came up with this idea as a good idea. Susan will also file, but for a 1-year position, with the hope of that we find new alternates to come on board in the next couple months. In addition to Karen, she knows the ropes already, but some other new person that then, as soon as they were ready, Susan would probably resign from the trustee board and let a new alternate step into her place. That sounds like a plan, because nobody's been knocking on my door saying, I have an idea for a new alternate.
I did approach some people.
Oh, did, good.
Yeah.
But nobody said sign up.
Well, I will talk to the person again. Yeah,
Okay.
it's Joanne Pearson. Pearson.
Oh, yeah, she would be fabulous.
Yeah, or I said her daughter or daughter-in-law, they're all terrific.
Yes,
Or
that's
the
right.
son, I
Family
mean,
is
the whole
great.
family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more bloomers on the,
Joanne Pearson, or like I said, maybe her daughter or daughter-in-law or son or someone, yeah.
and she's very involved in the bloomers.
Yes,
And she is a nurse who retired from Cornerstone VNA.
yeah.
Oh, so she's a really good person.
Over their arms. You should twist a little hard.
We tried to get Anna to run
Physical
for
damage.
select.
There are a couple of people on the foundation, the library foundation board, that would be wonderful to come onto the board in future years. I haven't pitched them because, you know, they're at a fever pitch right now.
Right.
On what they're doing, so. So that was that. Friends report, Lydia?
We're meeting on Wednesday. Just desserts. It's a wonderful event. If anybody has never been, you go. So it's on February 10th. I think tickets are $5.
Yes.
And you get to taste all these wonderful desserts and then vote for your favorite. It's a great family event.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
By the way, Liz, I was gonna recommend as you're promoting that, you might wanna say tickets are limited to, I don't know, 85 tickets or something like that.
Mhm.
What time
So
is it?
people don't think they
Four
can
to
just walk up and
Oh, okay.
pay their $5.
This one, we're taking cash, check, or Venmo. And we already had people buying tickets via Venmo, so.
Yeah.
You make an announcement at the school deliberative session that morning to remind people.
Oh. So Lydia, anything else on?
And there's a book sale tomorrow. Polls.
Boy, so somebody's gonna be schlepping over books tonight.
Yes, or they already did. They already did.
Oh, they already did.
That was a bunch still up there though. They take everything?
We filled all the boxes we had.
Okay.
There's been a lot of donations lately.
Yeah,
Everybody's
that's
cleaning
right.
out after Christmas.
And that's it for now?
Mhm.
I have something under new business that's sort of related to that. The town select board has, wanted to do more recognition of the volunteers in town that are really, you know, that just make everything work as well as it does for practically, you know, a very small budget. And when I saw that, I wondered if, because I would see us doing it as a trustees, I would like to see us recommend that John and Cindy Cafasso, that we nominate them. They've really been lead on the Friends for a long time. John's the go-to guy to do all sorts of stuff. What do you think?
Sure.
I mean, we can just do nothing and just sort of let it go, because everybody's done a lot, but.
If you're gonna, in someone's name by an organization, you have to have an agreement. There has to be a vote of that organization and you have to identify that. So,
That's a good thing to know.
yes, so you can do it individually as an individual, but if you're gonna do it as an organization,
We
you
should
need
take a
to,
vote.
you need to have a vote and have to.
The nominations are due the 31st of January, and I guess I would volunteer to draft that
About a
nomination.
three-page application.
No more than 3 pages.
Well, no, there's a.
I glanced at it, but
Yeah,
I think you have to explain, you know, what they contributed and
Right.
so on, but, you know, that good stuff. So,
what you'd expect.
I did ask Connor, I said, you know, that I thought of that. You're not supposed to, it's supposed to be individual. And I said, if we wanted to do this, we couldn't just do one or the other, and they're sort of a team. And what do you think? And he thought that would be okay.
Yeah, I think, I won't speak for the whole board, but I'm pretty sure that would be a go.
They did Charter and Marie together.
Well, that was a different,
It was
Oh,
different.
so what is this one?
well, this is that was
the town.
the town citizen of the year thing.
And so you're talking about,
John and Cindy Cafasso. Cindy's the
yeah,
president.
but through how?
It's the volunteer recognition.
It's just a volunteer
Through the
recognition.
town.
Through the town, the select board.
It's not citizen of the year, it's volunteer of the year, a little bit different.
But it's not just one person. You're gonna be selecting a number of people, right? The impression I get,
Unless we don't, yes, not sure
it
either.
depends on what you get. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I would, don't pin us down on that.
I wouldn't plan to be telling Cindy and John that we're gonna do this.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have done a lot for a long time, the foundation people, especially Roger, has been slugging away at this thing for years. But, I just think when I think of, well, because when we were, last year when we didn't have a director and it's like, oh, what are we gonna do with this? And you remember that ugly curtain we had over the old computer room? And it was like, oh, we could
Yeah,
fix that.
the COVID take a book thing and
Right.
patio, and I mean,
And
they did a ton of landscaping.
and they do all the,
They do the book sale too, they collect the books, 'cause I brought books to them.
John.
Yeah.
That's who the library goes to put up the
Yes.
canopy, take down the canopy, all that kind, it's above and beyond. So I just thought it would be great to. So I guess I'm gonna say, would there be a motion for the from the trustees to nominate
Yes,
Cindy and
so
John?
they can
So,
nominate them for volunteer of the year,
well, it's not, it's for the volunteer recognition.
volunteer
By the
recognition
select board.
for the decade.
They're actually, the idea is to have a plaque. It'll be up in the town hall for a year.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
that's nice.
And then at the end of the year, you can give it to the people.
Yes.
So Robert made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So that won't be very secret if it's in the minutes
Well, but
for them.
I don't think many people really go reading.
Just put down that well, it has to be the minutes, I guess, the officials can say, just put down we nominated people for that role.
But we just ask, don't mention it at the Friends meeting.
Yeah.
But, and Lydia, I may reach out to you or ask you at least to proofread and comment on what I draft up in the narrative, because you know them well.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay, and otherwise, the other thing that's gonna be coming up is this is evaluation time. We do staff evaluations get done by April 1. And coincidentally, Liz's first annual evaluation, we just did a 6-month review. But we need to do an evaluation of her performance and also discuss contract extension. So the suggestion is Susan and Lydia, who were involved in the director evaluation process in prior years.
And Karen.
And Karen.
Yeah.
Um,
And Carolina.
So-
Hey, Carolyn.
And Karen, right.
and Carolina. Well, the suggestion is that we just have everybody. In order to, we need to do this and get it done by the March board meeting so that the board can review and decide on contract extension. So the thought was that we just have a smaller team than that to do the project. And we just, for Susan, maybe it's like, we just did this.
I know,
It's
it seemed like you just did it. Yeah.
So, but we do still want to reach out to, not do a full staff evaluation, but probably meet with Wendy as assistant director to get a staff perspective. I guess the three of us are gonna meet.
Mhm.
So if that's all right with you all, the three of us will take the lead on this and then bring it back to the board. And like that. Is there anything, Susan, you want to add to that? I'm not remembering a whole lot more. I do feel like I'm sort of meeting myself coming and going these days.
Right.
Speaking of that, I have to go.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
My third meeting of the day. It's
Why don't we have this book here?
Monday.
That's for Belize.
Oh. So, anything else for the meeting? Because that's it for the agenda. It went a little bit longer, but. I think we're doing the best we can.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
For a second,
Second that.
all in favor?
I'm feeling.
Thanks.